Good evening. Welcome to the Coon Rapids City Council meeting for Tuesday, April 4th, 2023. If you could please rise and join us for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Please call the roll.
Councilmember Griskoviak.
Here.
Councilmember Ray Rauer.
Here.
Councilmember Novak.
Here.
Councilmember Geisler.
Here.
Councilmember Armstrong.
Here.
Councilmember Carlson.
Here.
Mayor Cook.
Here. Thank you. Why don't we adopt this evening's agenda then?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Carlson.
motion to adopt the agenda. Second.
Motion by Carlson and a second by Novak to adopt the agenda. Any discussion or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And the agenda is adopted. And we've got a really fun night. This is really exciting. And the very first thing we have is some fire department badge pinning. Chief Piper.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor, council members. Thank you for allowing me time in your agenda at tonight's council meeting to acknowledge the promotions of 2 career firefighters, a captain, and a battalion chief. These 4 gentlemen have prepared themselves and worked hard to get to this point. As fire chief, it has always been my goal to promote people within our organization who have a strong sense of community involvement and who represent the core values of our organization and mission statement. Our mission statement says that we are to provide efficient services designed to protect lives and property from the adverse effects of fires, medical emergencies, or exposure to dangerous conditions. We pursue this mission with determination and resolve, with emphasis on dedication, compassion, and constant improvement. All 4 of these individuals uphold our mission statement with the highest regard. Our 2 new career firefighters were promoted from our paid-on-call ranks. They have both successfully completed the rigorous and demanding 6-month probationary period. Tonight, these firefighters will take the oath of office and be sworn in as career firefighters by Mayor Cook. Their respective badges will also be pinned by their chosen family member. It is my pleasure to introduce you to our newest career firefighters, Josh Gore and Sam Snell. Josh, why don't you come up here? First, I'd like to introduce firefighter Josh Gore, badge number 85. Josh was born in Minneapolis and grew up in Andover. After graduating from Anoka High School, Josh attended Anoka Ramsey Community College and earned his Associates of Arts degree. His additional education includes Firefighter 1, Firefighter 2, Hazmat, and Emergency Medical Technician. Josh has been married to his high school sweetheart, Amanda, for 20 years. Together they have 3 kids, Kayla, Caleb, and Carson. Josh has been very active in his community where he has coached several sports for more than 10 years. Josh is very active in several Coon Rapids community events, in addition to serving as the vice president of the Coon Rapids North Star Lions. One of his brothers was a Minneapolis firefighter, which sparked Josh's interest in firefighting. With that, Josh has been a paid-on-call firefighter in Coon Rapids since 2018 and is very happy he has finally achieved his goal of becoming a career firefighter. Okay, Josh, you've been chosen and trained to be a firefighter for this organization. In addition to responding to emergencies, your duties are many. As a firefighter, you are responsible for maintaining your knowledge, skills, and physical abilities. You're also responsible for providing quality service to our customers. We will now have the formal pinning of Josh's badge number 85, followed by him swearing an oath of office performed by Mayor Cook. I would like to introduce Josh's wife, Amanda, as the person he selected to pin on his badge. Josh, congratulations on your promotion to career firefighter.
Okay, perfect.
I, Josh Gore, do solemnly swear
I, Josh Gore, do solemnly swear
that I will support the policies and procedures
support the policies and procedures
of the Coon Rapids Fire Department.
of the Coon Rapids Fire Department.
I will faithfully, honorably,
I will faithfully, honorably,
and to the best of my ability,
and to the best of my abilities,
protect the safety and lives
protect the safety and lives
of my fellow firefighters and citizens
of my fellow firefighters and citizens,
whose care has been entrusted to me, so help me God.
and which care has been entrusted to me, so help me God.
One down, 3 to go. Okay, next, I'd like to introduce firefighter Sam Snell, badge number 86. Sam grew up in Coon Rapids and attended Blaine High School, where he graduated in 2015. He then continued his education at Anoka Ramsey Community College and Anoka Technical College, where he completed his Associate of Arts degree and EMT certification. Sam has also completed his Firefighter 1 and Firefighter 2, fire apparatus operator courses, and several wildland firefighting courses. Sam's family consists of his mother Shelley, his father Tim, and his 3 sisters Molly, Cammie, and Nikki. Sammy has been a paid on-call firefighter in Coon Rapids since 2019. Sam, you've been chosen and trained to be a firefighter for this organization. In addition to responding to emergencies, your duties are many. As a firefighter, you are responsible for maintaining your knowledge, skills, and physical abilities. You are responsible for providing quality service to our customers. Okay? We will now have the formal pinning of Sam's badge, number 86, followed by him swearing an oath of office performed by Mayor Cook. I would like to introduce you to Sam's mother, Shelley, as the person he selected to pin on his badge. Sam, congratulations on your promotion to career firefighter.
I, Sam Snell, do solemnly swear
I, Sam Snell, do solemnly swear
that I will support the policies and procedures
that I will support the policies and procedures
of the Coon Rapids Fire Department.
of the Coon Rapids Fire Department.
I will faithfully, honorably,
I will faithfully, honorably,
and to the best of my ability,
and to the best of my ability,
protect the safety and lives
protect the safety and lives
of my fellow firefighters and citizens
of my fellow firefighters and citizens
whose care has been entrusted to me, so help me God.
whose care has been entrusted to me, so help me God.
I thought that Snell was a familiar last name, and then I looked out in the audience here. Yeah. Chief.
Okay, Josh and Sam. It'll be both of your duties to respond whenever called. Your chiefs, your crew, and the community rely on your abilities and professionalism in the performance of your role as firefighter. I know you'll provide many years of excellent service to our city. Thank you, Sam and Josh. We are excited to bring your talents and passion for this community and to our organization. Thank you. Okay. Now we're going to talk about the captain and battalion chief positions. I would like to recognize the promotions of 2 of our fire officers. The 2 fire officers being promoted tonight bring different levels of experience and their own style of leadership to the department and their shift. They make those around them better, and I know they will continue to lead with excellence. First, we will recognize our newly promoted captain. Darren Yankee. Our captains are our company officers that are responsible for the overall day-to-day operations of their assigned station and assume overall responsibilities of the shift in the absence of the battalion chief. Darren joined the Coon Rapids Fire Department in 2008 as a paid-on-call firefighter and accepted the call to become a career firefighter in 2013. Darren's career in emergency services started well before joining Coon Rapids Fire. He is a licensed paramedic, registered nurse, specializing in emergency room care. Darren is also a licensed police officer working in Greater Minnesota and dedicates time to training emergency medical technicians and paramedics to work with tactical teams. Darren works with the Coon Rapids Fire Explorers and is an active member of Anoka County's Specialized Rescue Team. In his off hours, he broadens his computer technology skill set, which he uses to advance educational resources for our fire department. Darren has a Bachelor's of Science from the University of Minnesota. He has been a resident of Coon Rapids for over 20 years, along with his wife and their 3 children. Darren, please come forward to be pinned and sworn in by your pinned and sworn in, followed by taking your oath of office performed by Mayor Cook. Darren's wife, Cindy, will be doing the honors. Welcome to the supervisory team, Darren.
Hey, Darren. Oops, I got the wrong thing. That's bad. Yeah, that one. Thank you. I was going to try and swear you in with this evening's agenda. That was not going to work. I, Darren Janke, do solemnly swear.
I, Darren Yankee, do solemnly swear
Yeah, feel free to pronounce your name right. That I will support the policies and procedures
that I will support the policies and procedures
of the Coon Rapids Fire Department.
of the Coon Rapids Fire Department.
I will faithfully, honorably,
I will faithfully, honorably,
and to the best of my ability,
and to the best of my ability,
discharge the duties of fire captain
discharge the duties of fire captain
and protect the safety and lives
and protect the safety and lives
of my fellow firefighters and citizens
of my fellow firefighters and citizens
whose care has been entrusted to me, so help me God.
whose care has been entrusted to me, so help me God.
That's right. Getting there. There.
We're good. Okay, finally, we'll recognize our newly promoted Battalion Chief, John Fick. Battalion chiefs oversee the daily operations of their assigned shift, which includes 9 staff members, all 3 stations, and are the incident commanders for critical incidents and high-priority calls for service. John grew up in Coon Rapids and is a graduate of Coon Rapids High School. John started his career as a paid-on-call firefighter with the Coon Rapids Fire Department in 1995 and is entering his 28th year of service. He was promoted to career firefighter in 2000. He progressed through the ranks as acting captain, and to his current position as battalion chief. John holds a bachelor's degree in fire administration, a degree in fire science, a degree in emergency medical services, as well as a degree in law enforcement. John is currently pursuing his master's degree in fire executive leadership and emergency services management. John is heavily involved in the Coon Rapids community and serves on many community event planning committees. He is a member of the Coon Rapids North Star Lions Club, a committee member for the Coon Rapids High School All-Class Reunion and the Community Tree Lighting Festival, and a presenter for the high school STEP program, mentoring kids in firefighting as a career, as well as a Coon Rapids Safety Camp counselor. Keep it busy.
What do you do in your spare time, John?
John resides in Coon Rapids with his wife Tiffany and has 3 children, Amanda, Andrew, and Ava. At this time, John, you can move forward and be pinned and sworn in by taking your oath of office performed by Mayor Cook. John's wife Tiffany will be doing the pinning. Congratulations on your promotion to Battalion Chief.
Hey, John. All right, here we go. I, John Fick, do solemnly swear
I, John Fick, do solemnly swear
that I will support the policies and procedures
that I will support the policies and procedures
of the Coon Rapids Fire Department.
of the Coon Rapids Fire Department.
I will faithfully, honorably,
I will faithfully, honorably,
and to the best of my ability
and to the best of my ability
discharge the duties of Battalion Chief
discharge the duties of Battalion Chief
and protect the safety and lives
and protect the safety and lives
of my fellow firefighters and citizens
and protect the lives of my fellow firefighters and citizens
whose care has been entrusted to me, so help me God.
whose care has been entrusted to me, so help me God.
Congratulations, John. Yep. Chief, weren't you supposed to start out with, and last but not least? Wasn't that how you're supposed to start that?
I knew I forgot something.
Okay, all right, very good.
Next time. Okay, that concludes our promotional ceremony. With that said, thank you, Battalion Chief Vic, for organizing this. You put this over. Thank you.
One more thing to do.
Yeah, in your spare time, right? And with that said, friends and family, you're invited out to meet in the hall for some photo opportunities, but remember this, the city council has invited all of you to stay for the entire meeting. It's gonna be about 2 hours tonight, so do what you gotta do. And let's see, and with that, thank you for coming and your show of support, everybody. Thank you, council.
Thank you. All right, next on our agenda, we are going to meet our new Miss Coon Rapids, but we're going to just wait a second because, and don't take this personally, they do this to us all the time. They just abandon us.
Better to see Steve in the background.
All right. So this evening, we are very honored to have our Miss Coon Rapids, Emily Schumacher, to introduce herself and provide some information about your platform. If you want to come up to the dais. I'm sorry. This is the dais. That's the ambo, I guess. I got to get my things worked out here.
Well, good evening, everyone, and thank you so much for joining me today to talk about something that I'm very passionate about. But I think it's also something that we should all be very passionate about, and that's heart health. A topic that maybe you've heard your doctor talk about, or maybe you relate it to eating healthy or working out, or even going on a walk with your dog. But the truth is, living in a heart-safe community is much more than just taking care of yourself. It's also taking care of the people around you. To give you some background, my name is Emily Schumacher, and today I'm here as Miss Coon Rapids. But I also wear a very different hat in my everyday lifestyle. I'm a medical professional and applying to med school and hopefully attending med school in the fall of 2024. And I also want to be a heart surgeon. And the phrase that I often use when I tell people that is, I want to be a heart surgeon, but I don't want to be your heart surgeon. But in order to achieve that, I have to put my passions together, heart health and the Miss America organization. Heart and Soul is my community service initiative that advocates for preventative methods and educates people on how to reduce the risk of ending up on my operating table. Actually, for years in this organization, I only advocated for people to know CPR. But over the years, I've expanded my knowledge on this topic so that I can educate about preventative methods to reduce the risk of having to use CPR. I found that America is heading down a dangerous path. By the year 2035, over 50% of Americans will have some form of heart disease. The good news? It's preventable. So during my year as Miss Coon Rapids, you'll see me around the community at various schools, organizations, businesses, teaching individuals on how to prevent heart disease with just various tips and tricks. But also, I'm very fortunate to have a resource that many of you probably know. I have partnered with Brian Plat, a Coon Rapids police officer here, to bring importance of CPR to organizations and communities across the state. He's already trained 30,000 individuals in CPR, so I'm extremely fortunate to get to learn from one of the community's best. I want to say thank you again for inviting me tonight to speak to you a little bit about what my year of service as Miss Coon Rapids will look like. But lastly, I'm excited to share an opportunity for you to get involved as well. On Friday, May 19th, I am hosting the Go Red Gala at Bunker Hills Golf Course right here in Coon Rapids, and it will be a fantastic opportunity to give back to the American Heart Association to fight heart disease. Not only do I encourage everyone here to attend, we will also have live silent auctions and sponsor opportunities for you to get involved. All proceeds of the event will be donated to the American Heart Association, and I promise it will be a fantastic night. Thank you again so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I will let you know that this evening, item 9, we are accepting 21 new AEDs to be used in our police vehicles. That's really cool. So, yeah, I mean, we've actually had them equipped for years with them, but it's a nice upgrade. That's really cool. So, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we're up to item 3. Oh, hang on. Oh, no, this is our fair housing proclamation. All of a sudden I thought, wait a minute, do I have a proclamation for that? Okay. Item 3 is our Fair Housing Month proclamation. April is Fair Housing Month to commemorate the Fair Housing Act, which was enacted as part of the Civil Rights Act of 1968. The Fair Housing Act outlaws discrimination in housing on the basis of race, color, creed, national origin, sex, familial status, and disability. During the last 5+ decades, the Fair Housing Act has facilitated equal opportunities in housing to the residents of the city of Coon Rapids and really all over. Whereas the Fair Housing Act, enacted on April 11th, 1968, enshrined into federal law the goal of eliminating racial segregation and ending housing discrimination in the United States, and whereas the Fair Housing Act prohibits discrimination in housing on the basis of race, color, religion, sex, familial status, national origin, and disability, and commits recipients of federal funding to affirmatively further fair housing for all, and whereas Coon Rapids is committed to the mission and intent of Congress to provide fair and equal housing opportunities for all, and whereas our social fabric, the economy, health, and environment are strengthened in diverse, inclusive communities, and whereas the success of the Fair Housing Act comes from a commitment by all of us to address discrimination and support equal housing opportunities for all. Now, therefore, I, Jerry Cook, Mayor of the City of Coon Rapids, on behalf of the Coon Rapids City Council, hereby proclaim the month of April 2023 to be Fair Housing Month in the City of Coon Rapids, proclaimed this 4th day of April 2023. All right. Item 4 this evening is to approve the minutes from the March 21st meeting.
Your Honor,
Councilmember Rayrauer.
move to approve said minutes.
Second.
Motion by Rayrauer and a second by Griscoviac to approve the meetings from the March 21st, 2023 meeting. Are there any discussion or corrections? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. I guess probably 2 abstentions, Novak and Carlson. Item 5, and now we are onto the consent agenda. And we have 5 items on our consent agenda. And the first one is item 5 this evening, and that is to approve a service agreement with Alexandra House. Alexandra House is a nonprofit corporation that is Anoka County's only women's shelter. It provides a 24-hour shelter, support services, advocacy, educational opportunities to residents in the city and Anoka County. Alexandra House also works with the police department and the city attorney's office with domestic violence cases. Alexandra House has made a request for financial assistance for the services it provides to the city, and the council did appropriate $12,500 to the Alexandra House in the 2023 budget for those services. This service agreement reduces the parties' wishes to writing, and the agreement is for 1 year and can be terminated by either party with 30 days' notice. Should this contract be terminated early, the funds paid shall be returned by Alexandra House in proportion to the number of months the contract was not fulfilled. So we're looking to approve the city to enter into a service agreement with Alexandra House to provide shelter, support services, and advocacy to the affected city residents. Item 6, which is the second item on our consent agenda, is to adopt Resolution 23-50, authorizing continued participation in the National Prescription Opioid Settlement. In April 2019, the City of Coon Rapids filed its own lawsuit against manufacturers and distributors of prescription opioids and joined the prescription opioid litigation. In late 2021, 2 nationwide settlements were entered into resolve all litigation brought by state and local governments. With those 2 settlements, the state of Minnesota and political subdivisions worked through the allocation that will occur when the settlement money flows to the state, and the agreed-upon framework was memorialized in Memorandum of Agreement. And according to this, the city will get 0.5773% of the settlement, which sounds like chump change, but it's $1.28 million. So it's not. And then so the city agreed to participate in the opioid settlements and the Memorandum of Understanding with the state in December of 2021, and the city has and will continue to receive a direct allocation pursuant to the Memorandum of Understanding, and the funds currently can be used for opioid mitigation efforts, and specifically, it is currently being used by the city to partially fund the embedded mental health worker in the police department. In December 2022, the Attorney General's office joined 5 additional multi-state settlements worth $20.4 billion with major opioid manufacturers. Let's see, the Minnesota share of these settlements could be around $235 million. And as part of these 5 settlements, the city is again asked to participate in the settlements. In addition, the state has amended the Memorandum of Understanding. The financial allocation will be identical to the original agreement. The amended MOA, Memorandum of Understanding, also contemplates that future settlements, if any, will be handled in the same manner, alleviating the need to amend the MOA in the future. Staff and outside legal counsel recommend continued approval of the settlement, so we're looking to approve Resolution 23-50, authorizing continued participation in national prescription opioid settlements and authorizing staff to execute all documents necessary for participation, including the amended Memorandum of Agreement. Whew. Item 7, which is the third item on our consent agenda, thankfully much shorter, is to adopt Resolution 23-51, accepting a grant from the Minnesota Chiefs of Police Foundation. It's accepting a $2,100 grant for the Cops and Cardinals Mentorship Program from the Minnesota Chiefs of Police Foundation Partnership Grant Program. The Minnesota Chiefs of Police Foundation Community Partnerships Grant Program supports Minnesota police departments in their efforts to build trust and strong relationships with their community. Coon Rapids Police Department and Coon Rapids High School are working together on a new mentorship program called Cops and Cardinals. So we're looking to adopt Resolution 23-51, accepting a grant from the Minnesota Chiefs of Police Foundation for the Cops and Cardinals Mentorship Program. Item 8 on our consent agenda, which is item 4 of 5, is to approve a master contracting agreement with Superior Controls Systems Incorporated. So we're looking to approve a master contracting agreement with Superior Controls System Incorporated and authorize city officials to execute the attached agreement for professional contracting services. And then the 5th and final item on our consent agenda, which is item 9, is to adopt Resolution 23-52, accepting donation of 21 AEDs from the Helmsley Charitable Trust and the University of Minnesota Medical School. The police department was approached by the University of Minnesota Medical School and learned they had received a grant from the Helmsley Charitable Trust for the purchase of AEDs. This is a 3-year project with the hopes of equipping every law enforcement vehicle in the state with an AED. The approximate value of the AEDs donated to the Coon Rapids Police Department is $48,300. So we're looking to adopt Resolution 23-52, accepting the donation from the Helmsley Charitable Trust and the University of Minnesota Medical School for 21 new AEDs to be used in police vehicles. And that's the end of our consent agenda.
Your Honor,
Councilmember Rayrauer.
I make a motion to approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion by Rayrauer and a second by Carlson to approve the consent agenda. Discussion or questions? Wow. Chief, I would love, can you just give it a little abbreviated thing on that Cops and Cardinals program? That's just such a cool thing.
Absolutely, Mr. Mayor, Council, thanks for the opportunity. We're excited about our new partnership with the high school. It's called Cops and Cardinals, in which we're hoping to enhance our already strong relationship that we have with the high school. The goal of it is actually to reach out to the students, though, and to provide mentorship opportunities between officers from our department and high school students. Thankfully, the Chiefs of Police Association saw the value in that and then provided us with this grant opportunity also to help fund the program. So that makes it even more worthwhile. I have to shout out to high school principal John Pena for making this possible. He's been a great community partner and collaborator, and we're really excited about the program. We had our first meeting a couple weeks ago, and the kids were excited and energetic, enthusiastic, and we're hoping they'll do quite a bit of recruiting for us. And it's anticipated that this month there'll be even more students to show up. So we're really hoping that the program grows from here and maybe even branches out to some of the neighboring high schools. Thank you for the opportunity.
Excellent, thank you. And mentioning John Pena, it's important to know that if you ever run into John Pena around town, if he says, "It's a great day to be a Cardinal," you respond, "You know it." That's the way that works. Yeah. Stood outside of the high school on opening day, the first day of school, and that's all the kids coming in. "It's a great day to be a Cardinal," and he would get right in front of them until he said, "You know it." All right, any other questions or discussion from the consent agenda?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember
I
Griscoviac?
do have a question, just a comment maybe for Tim Himmer on the master service agreement with Superior Controls. So that company has access to our SCADA system, right? So what kind of, what's in place to keep that access secure?
As Councilmember Griscoviac thinks, we work directly with our IT department as well. So part of it is just trust in the organization and some of the vetting that goes with it. There are hundreds of these companies out there. This company has been with Coon Rapids in my entire 10 years that I've been here. We just found that we didn't have an agreement for them. So as opposed to just going onesie-twosie with these things, we thought we'd get them under contract. But do know that they have their own rights and access, but they're restricted through our security system, through LOGIS. And we know whenever they're accessing the site, it's known to everybody at the time. So we have the ability to shut it down if we need to. But again, part of it is just the trust and the relationship.
Okay, thank you. And knowing that they've been with our city for a long time is also helpful. Thank you.
Very good. Any other questions or discussion? We have a motion and a second on the consent agenda. All in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Opposed? and that motion carries. Item 10 is to consider resolutions 23-54, 23-55, and 23-56 to levy miscellaneous 2023-1 assessments. And I think this is a Ms. Hanson one. Oh, she's not here, though.
Yeah.
Mr. Stemmer.
Mayor, Council, I will handle this one tonight.
I looked back and I saw Dakota back there, and I went, well, that's not.
Go to bed. As council is familiar, our process is that if there are any appeals to the special assessments, those are heard by the Board of Adjustment and Appeals, which is planning to meet on May 4th at 6:30 PM. So as of 4:30 PM this afternoon, we had 5 appeals totaling $4,510.68. Those will be forwarded on to the Board of Adjustment and Appeal for consideration. That board then makes a recommendation to the City Council, and that will come back to the City Council later on in May. At this time, there's $135,784.81, which is updated from the number that was put in the memo on Friday. So there have been either some appeals that have come in or payments that have come in. And then there's specific numbers related to the 1-year, 3-year, and 5-year that will be filled in the resolutions after council approval. So the process here tonight is for council to open the public hearing. If there are anybody in the audience who would like to appeal their special assessment, they have until the end of the public hearing to provide us with that written notification. And then those appeals will be forwarded on to the Board of Adjustment for consideration on May 4th. So if there are any folks out in the audience, just make sure, if you could, to let Ms. Lensmeyer know, and then we'll have you as on the official records making that appeal. And if there are any other questions or comments for council, those could be considered under the public hearing as well.
Okay, very good. And the amounts up to $1,000 will be payable in 1 year, up to $5,000 will be 3 years, and amounts up to $20,000 and over will be 5 years. And that's automatically assessed onto the property taxes for the 1 year, 3 years, and 5 years.
That's correct.
Okay. All right, so then, does council have any questions on this before I open the public hearing? All right. So this is just a hold an assessment hearing to collect written appeals. Is anybody here to present a written appeal for the assessment hearings?
Mr. Mayor, we did have one, and he's registered it with me, so we'll enter that into the record.
All right. Any other written appeals to be presented? Is it-
I'm not the property owner, I'm a tenant. The property owner's not gonna be in town for a couple days, but can I put a written appeal in for him in the meantime?
Mr. Brody?
You can submit the appeal. I'm not sure whether it'll be accepted, but you certainly could submit it.
Yeah, yeah. So just give it to the city clerk over here, Ms. Lensmeyer. Yeah.
I think I asked the right person.
Okay. Is anybody else? I'm going to take that as a no then. So, all right, so I'm going to close the hearing for written appeals. Do you want me to wait for you?
Nope, we're fine, thank you.
Okay, all right. You'll get the minutes.
So, Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Geisler?
I'll make a motion to adopt Resolution 23-54, adopting the 2023 Sub-1 miscellaneous special assessments, unopposed 1 year, and adopt Resolution 23-55, adopting the 2023 Sub-1 miscellaneous special assessments, unopposed 3 year, and motion to adopt Resolution 23-56, adopting the 2023 Sub-1 miscellaneous special assessments, unopposed 5 year.
Second.
All right, we have a motion by Geisler and a second by Armstrong. Is there discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, and that motion carries. And we are on to item 11. Consider award of a contract and budget amendment for water tower construction at Foley Boulevard and Coon Rapids Boulevard, project 22-17. Mr. Himmer, is there anything left you want to say about this?
Mr. Mayor, I'm going to turn it over to you. You're free to read the memo. I can give a brief description if you prefer.
That'd be great.
All right. We're looking to award a contract to construct a new water tower near the intersection of Coon Rapids Boulevard and Foley. We're looking to construct a 1 million gallon tank. It would be a composite. We had 4 separate bidders, and so one option was a hydropillar, all steel construction. The other is composite, where it's got a concrete base and then a steel tank. Based upon the bids received and the alternates, I would recommend that we award a contract to Phoenix Fabricators and Erectors in the amount of $5,557,000, and what that includes is the base bid with alternate B1 accepted, and that's a deduct for a mezzanine. So the total contract would be $5,557,000, and that is for a composite tower less the mezzanine alternate B1. And with that, I stand for any questions.
Very good. And I don't mean to make light of it. This has been a really long, this has had a lot of discussion, lots of questions. So does anybody have any questions or comments for Mr. Himmer before we go into the motions here? Mr. Stemwedel?
Mayor, Council, to that end, I was just going to mention some of the history on this goes back almost 10 years, where we sort of looked at our comprehensive plan related to our water infrastructure, sort of future needs, growth in the city, the reliance on that infrastructure. And in the last few years have been more concerted in terms of the replacement of the Foley water tower and comparing the possibility of rehabilitation of that tower versus the new tower. And ultimately, as Mr. Himmer mentioned, we're making this recommendation to you tonight. So just sort of the benefit of those watching at home, so to speak. This is, the culmination, at least as it relates to this particular tower, of probably 8 to 9 years of conversation amongst various city councils, and very thoughtfully planned, I think, over that period of time.
There's been a little bit of serendipity here, too. We ended up purchasing a property that we thought was going to work for a 610 connection that wouldn't, that ended up to be ideal for a water tower. So that was good.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Novak?
Oh. I just wanted to say, coming into this a little bit later in the process, that there certainly has been a lot of effort done by previous councils and previous members of staff. I wanted to thank all of you for that. I've mentioned that this is something that's pretty near and dear to my heart. My family having gone through a fire at my home. Earlier watching the firemen getting their badges pinned on, that was pretty cool. But no, again, thank you all so much for the work that you've done. To me, this isn't truly needed today, but it may be needed in 5 or 10 years. So rather than being penny wise, pound foolish, we're making this investment now.
Your Honor.
Councilmember Rayrower?
I just want to follow up what Councilmember Novak said, and I completely agree. When we think about our infrastructure needs, what I really appreciate from our city staff is the work done to plan way in advance, and we're talking 10 years in this case. I haven't gone back 10 years on the council, but I have gone back 2 years, and it's been talked about for the time that I've been on the council. And the purpose is to really think ahead, because infrastructure needs are ongoing, and long-term planning can save money. So in order to meet our projected future water capacity needs, this is going to put us in a position to last 75 years. So it was either thinking about, do we repair the Foley Boulevard water tower and spend the money to do that, but then possibly still need more capacity in the next 5 to 10 years. And instead of doing the Foley Tower now and then possibly still needing another water tower, this will meet our needs and should be good for 75 years, right? Yeah.
It gets a little
Thank you.
confusing when both water towers are on Foley. The old one and the new one. All right, so maybe we should make this a motion, and then we can get, if there's any other discussion, we can get into that.
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to.
Councilmember Armstrong.
I'll make a motion to recommend that we adopt resolution
22-17 sub 9, awarding a contract to Phoenix Fabricators and Erectors LLC for the construction of the composite water tower for the contract amount of $5,557,000. And Resolution 23-53, amending the water fund sub 601.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion by Armstrong and a second by Geisler. And that was not a recommendation, but that the city actually, that we council actually adopted.
Yep.
Right,
Correct.
got it. All right, now further discussion.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Griscoviac.
so I've been pretty vocal on this one for a lot of reasons. It's a big infrastructure project for our city. I've done a lot of work with staff over the last couple of months and other council members to get a better bearing on this. When I first looked at it, I thought, we don't have a water capacity issue right now, we don't have a storage capacity issue right now, so let's renovate this thing. But as we looked deeper and deeper into that, we would be looking at piling in about $1.2 million just to renovate it. And actually, it's been sitting there half empty for the last 12 years since we built the Hanson Tower. So to get it on an equal footing across the city, we would have to put another about $1.5 million into lowering it to making it efficient and work so we could fill it full. You look at that, we're looking at about $2.5 or $3 million worth of renovations on that versus a $5.52 million project going forward. So I just wanted everyone to know that I appreciate the dialogue that we've had on this and what I've learned over the way. The other thing I learned over the way is this was our first water tower, right? It was built in 1959, so we did get a lot of use out of it. We got our money's worth out of this thing. And back then our population was only 14,000, and we're up over 63,000 now. So again, I appreciate all the work that's done. This will put us in good position for many, many years to come. It also adds efficiency to our system with water pressures and the way our pumps are going to operate. So we're going to have a little bit less wear and tear on our pumps, and of course ensuring an adequate water flow for big fires, and just for our residents to look at it. Water, in my opinion, one of the most important pieces of infrastructure we have in the city. So I've come a long way on this, and I'm ready to support it tonight.
Yes, you have.
Mr. Mayor?
Really good questions, though. It's been really interesting through the process. Councilmember Geisler?
Yeah, I'll keep it short. I've been on the council now coming on 9 years, and so I've heard this basically every year that I've been here. And so it's not something that has been done on a whim or, hey, let's just, it's been a very long process. And I think all of my fellow council members have hit the highlights, right? That we're going to need this down the road, and it doesn't make sense to spend a lot of money trying to renovate something that we know will not serve our needs in the future. And instead of having to spend that money and build a water tower, it makes more sense to just build the water tower in today's dollars. So it's needed. It will be a good thing for the city.
Thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Armstrong?
Get my 2 cents in here real quickly. Being a new council member, this is probably one of the first items that came up that was, you do not realize how much work city staff and Mr. Himmel and Mr. Stemwald and your staff, you guys got inundated with a ton of questions. And I'm sure you didn't always have a smile on your face in the back of your head, but you always had a smile on your face. And answered a lot of questions and educated me on a lot on how this whole system works, so I appreciate it.
The only thing I was going to mention is I don't think this came up. The budget amendment that's in the motion is in the amount of $750,000 to require the covered project costs.
Yep.
So I guess I'd just like to say that, get that on record. All right, any other discussion? We have a motion and a second. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. Mr. Himmer, did you think that'd be 7-0 last week?
I bet he didn't.
I did not think it would, but I thought I could get there.
Well, to be completely frank, last week I didn't know which way I was voting on it either, so I was,
Right.
all right. We're on item 12. Consider a resolution 23-1 sub 9 awarding a contract for street reconstruction project 23-1. And we're looking at doing about 4.5 miles of residential streets. We've already had the presentation on this. We went out for bids, and we got a successful bidder, Bituminous Roadways Incorporated, $3,993,843.70. And that was actually lower than our engineer's estimate. That hasn't happened for a while, has it?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we had good competitive bids. We did get quite a good turnout as well. The local cast of characters, Bituminous Roadways, this is the first time in my tenure here that they will be doing the program. We tweaked our specs a little bit, so I think that got a little more competition going. We're typically trying in the middle with our engineer's estimate, but we did get some good bids, and I'm more than happy to recommend Bituminous Roadways in the amount of $3,993,843.70.
Very good. What are your wishes, council? Any questions of Mr. Himmer on this?
Your Honor.
Councilmember Rayrauer?
I make a motion to adopt resolution number 23-1 sub 9, awarding a contract to Bituminous Roadways Incorporated in the amount of $3,993,843.70.
Second.
Motion by Rayrauer and a second by Novak. Is there further discussion on this?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Kraskowiak?
I just maybe want to point out that this is a big chunk of up in the Oaks of Shenandoah over there. A lot of those roads are in pretty bad shape. Just wanted to ask, since we're going to be redoing this, what kind of work are we going to be doing on those potholes that are existing? Are we going to just ignore them because it's going to be torn up, or are we going to fill them with some temporary patch? What are we going to do? They're in tough shape.
Councilmember Kraskowiak, anytime we get a request, a report it, a call in, we do a service request. Now, will we fill every single one? Not likely, but those that are the axle busters, those that are safety concerns, absolutely, we will patch those.
All right.
Your Honor.
Councilmember Novak?
Just a real quick question in that vein. How would one report a pothole if they needed to do so?
Councilmember Novak, they can call Public Works, they can call the front desk here at City Hall, they can go on the city website. There's a little icon on there to report anything from potholes to street lights out to down signs, down trees, anything of that nature. So it's a good tool to use, so thank you for bringing it up.
Yeah, and it's a really great tool, and if folks are reporting something that's not public and they really don't want to be known, they can also do a report anonymous.
Yep.
So, all right. We have a motion and a second on this, though. Is there any other discussion on this particular item? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. Item 13 is to consider resolution 23-4 sub 9, awarding a contract for miscellaneous trail reconstruction project 23-4. This is the Coon Creek Trail and Sand Creek Trail. We have the low bid from Aslickson's. Is that how you say that?
That's correct.
Okay, that was an awkward one. For $114,999.90. I got an email today from a resident, and he copied City Engineer Hansen in on it, and it was, the map shows the trail along Coon Creek Trail ending at Yellow Pine, and it's not highlighted down but to Robinson Drive. But Mr. Hansen said that is part of the project, and that will be replaced.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Council, I noticed that when we were getting authorization to bid, and I just asked him to amend the quantities to include that. So, yes, there's a small segment connecting that trail out to the sidewalk on Coon Creek Boulevard, or I'm sorry, on Creek Meadow Drive, and that will be included as part of the project.
Okay, very good. All right. Anybody have any questions on this one?
Your Honor.
Councilmember Rayrauer?
I make a motion to adopt resolution number 23-4 sub 9, awarding a contract to Aslickson's Services Incorporated in the amount of $114,999.90 for project 23-4 Miscellaneous City Trail Reconstruction Project.
Second.
Motion by Rayrauer and a second by Geisler. Is there further discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. Item 14 is to consider resolution number 23-7 sub 9, awarding a contract for the 2023 well rehabilitation program. Mr. Hammer, anything you want to hit on that, or?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, we're looking to rehab wells 13, 15, 21, booster pump 2 at the west plant. And we had originally included the backwash pumps at both treatment plants, as those had been left out of the program for some time. If you recall, when we went out for bid, I was hopeful and confident that we thought we could get that package included. But the way the bids came back, we're gonna recommend doing one this year. We'll add one to the program next year. As Councilmember Griscoviac is aware, every year we award for something that's beyond our budget. We assume the worst of the worst condition. So this number assumes replacing a pump as well as rehabbing the pump. We'll never reach the total of this project, but I didn't have the comfort level of adding an additional $100,000 in here and staying within budget. So I think we can hold off on that east backwash. We'll put it in the program next year, pick it up along with our typical program. So I would recommend we award to Minnesota Mechanical Solutions just for the base bid, $636,366.
Very good. Any questions of Mr. Hammer?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Carlson?
make a motion that council adopts resolution number 23-7 sub 9, awarding a contract to Minnesota Mechanical Solutions in the amount of $636,366 for the 2023 well rehabilitation project.
Second.
Motion by Carlson and a second by Armstrong. Is there discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. We are down to new business. Consider an agreement between CTN and the St. Paul Saints. That just doesn't seem like those two would line up, but this is a pretty good deal, and we're thankful for your out-of-the-box thinking on this.
Thank you, Your Honor and council. Eric Strauss, the station manager at CTN, right next door. We had a long history with a partnership with the St. Paul Saints. It was one of our first major partners back in 2007. And just to kind of back up a little bit about CTN for especially maybe some of our CTN viewing audience, CTN is funded through cable revenues. We started originally as a cable operation, cable TV operation. In 2007, we saw cable subscribers starting to drop down. We wanted to continue, all the video services that CTN provides the residents of Coon Rapids. So we started looking into how could we do additional revenue. One of the easiest ways for us, we were really well known for a lot of our sports and events coverage. Had met with the St. Paul Saints and started back, like I mentioned, in 2007, doing broadcasting as many of their games as we could. It's kind of been an on and off. It was independent minor league baseball. So when funds were available, they would look to partner with us. Since 2015, when they moved to CHS Field in St. Paul, if you haven't been there, gorgeous facility, we've been producing their home games. And so also, I should mention, they've been independent baseball, but you probably know they're now the AAA affiliate for the Minnesota Twins. That changed a couple years ago in 2021 after the COVID pandemic, where it made a lot more sense to have the teams closer. So if the Twins needed to call up a player, it was just move across the street, or a few blocks anyway. And the same thing with somebody, we've had some major Twins players that have rehabbed and started their way back into the major leagues through the St. Paul Saints. So there are two amounts that we put together. It is 75 home games, which when we first started, it was 48, which we thought was a lot. Then it went to 60, and now the last couple of years, it's 75. So it's a lot of baseball games. Luckily, we have the talented crew to cover all those games and to rotate over the years. One of the other nice things, since they became minor league, AAA, they do basically Mondays off, and then they have 6 home games, Mondays off, 6 away games. So there's some efficiencies there that we take advantage of, basically setting up most of the things the first day of the series. So it works out really well for us. It's been a lengthy negotiation. It just actually wrapped everything up late last week. So we were excited to get it on the agenda for consideration today. And there's broadcast games are a little more expensive, a little more entailed for us to produce those games. We need a coordinating producer talking to their master control. We also need some engineering help, a few extra things. So that's the difference you see in the two prices that we have per game. So $4,000 per game for the broadcast level productions, and then $2,900 per game for the more community level productions. And I also share that we're all the way up to over 100 cities in Minnesota that share the games on their cable channels, their city and community channels. So they take those live. So pretty exciting. And with that, I'll stand for questions.
Yeah, this is close to a $250,000 contract by the time you get through all of it.
Yep. Yeah, that's our biggest project partner, and actually most of our other partnerships have come from the St. Paul Saints, word of mouth and things like that. So.
I mean, that to me, that's amazing because it really helps us keep our cameras up, our equipment up, our trucks. I mean, because this is revenue that we wouldn't otherwise have. The PEG fee isn't going that far.
Right.
So this is awesome.
Your Honor?
Councilmember Novak?
I just got to say one thing. This is so cool. As a baseball fan, I love this. This is amazing. So congratulations.
Thank you.
You got my support.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Carlson. There you go.
Just another kudos to CTN. Everything CTN does is top-notch. It's always very professional. Sports coverage is just crazy good. And I can understand why the Saints would be happy to have a contract with CTN.
Thank you. Thank you, Councilmember Carlson.
So is anybody happy enough to actually make this motion then?
I'd be happy to make that motion, Mr. Mayor.
Councilmember Carlson?
I have my glasses on. I make a motion to approve the attached agreement with the St. Paul Saints at the $2,900 per game rate for productions carried on CTN and community outlets, and $4,000 per game rate for productions on local broadcast station outlets. Also, make a motion to delegate authority to the city manager and city attorney to execute any additional legal documents required relating to the agreement.
Second.
Motion by Carlson, a second by Novak. Is there further discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? That motion carries, Mr. Strauss.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Council.
Thank you. All right, item 16, consider planning case 23-2, consider preliminary and final plat, water tower addition, City of Coon Rapids Public Works. So now that we've authorized building it, we actually have to make the ground legal to put it in there, Mr. Kroll?
Yeah, pretty much. So, yeah, Mr. Mayor, Council, just want to kind of give some highlights here for a preliminary and final plat. I won't go into the detail about the need for the water tower, as you all have discussed that and are well aware of that.
Were you really going to include that in your zoning conversation?
No, I'll keep it brief and just, touch on the highlights. So the city's HRA owns 2 parcels here at the corner of Coon Rapids Boulevard and Foley Boulevard. They're outlined here on the map. And so this preliminary and final plat is really just to change that shared kind of the shared property line between those two lots to reduce the size of the lot where the water tower would go, and then kind of increase that corner lot for future development. And so this area is zoned in our Port Evergreen district. Public utility is actually a conditional use. The Planning Commission did approve a conditional use permit for the water tower back in December. And then we have this plat kind of in coordination with the water tower project. The total size of the site is just a little over 5 acres, and so this plat would be to make lot 1 1.43 acres, and this is where the water tower would go. And then lot 2 would be about 3.5 acres, and that would be open to future development for the city. This was a site plan that was shown with the conditional use permit, just to give some reference of how the water tower would sit on the site. So it's there on the southern end of lot 1. There's existing stormwater ponding there from the Foley Boulevard Reconstruction project that would be expanded to accommodate the stormwater for both the water tower site and for future development on lot 2. So they would share that stormwater ponding on lot 1 to create more space for development on the other lot.
Okay.
And this was the final plat, just kind of showing that change, and then I thought it was just helpful to maybe have an aerial. So the red lines are kind of the existing property lines as they are today, and then what's outlined here in this blue line would kind of show that new lot 1 to kind of see the shrinking of that lot and then increasing that corner lot for development. So the Planning Commission did recommend approval on the preliminary plat back in January. And so tonight our staff recommendation, kind of given the approval of the water tower project today, to adopt resolution 2349 that would grant preliminary and final plat approval. Happy to answer any questions.
Very good. Anybody have any questions, Mr. Kroll?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Armstrong?
I make a motion in planning case 23-2 that the city council adopt resolution 23-49 granting preliminary and final plat approval.
Second.
Whew, that was close. All right. Motion by Armstrong, second by Ray Rower. Is there further discussion on this?
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Kraskowiak?
I think this really makes a lot of sense. You take that piece of property that we already own and divide it like this, so we're gonna have the water tower on one side with all the stormwater ponding for both sites, right, on that site, so that really increases the value of that corner lot that the city still owns and I would imagine is already actively marketing. So, good way to go with the lot split.
Further discussion? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, opposed, and that motion carries. Thank you, Mr. Kroll.
All right.
But you're going to stay there, because now we're going to talk about item 17, planning case 23-6, consider a planned unit development amendment for Gateway Commerce Center. And basically, we're just going to kind of put things back where they were again.
Yep, yeah, so again, I'll just kind of touch on some highlights. We're talking about the parcel adjacent to 2075 Gateway Drive, so that's the lot next to the new Walser Hyundai dealership there off of Highway 10 that you can see. So again, outlined here. Maybe just to give a little background in history for some of you who might be familiar, that you heard planning cases 21, 31, 32, and 33 back in July of 2021, kind of related to this site. And that was to take what was a 10-acre parcel, subdivide that out into 3 lots, with the PUD amendment being that a new car dealership would be located on each of those 3 lots. At that time, the applicant had indicated some flexibility to use lot 2 as either an inventory lot if they couldn't get that smaller boutique dealership that they were looking at that would kind of operate in coordination with Walser Hyundai there. The Planning Commission did recommend denial actually of that PUD amendment and plat, and then that was brought to the council. That was approved in August of 2021, and then that site plan was approved by the commission at their following meeting. So again, when this came back in 2021, they were looking for some flexibility to use this lot as an inventory lot or have this smaller dealership. They did apply for the Genesis franchise, which was what was kind of that boutique dealership they were looking at on this lot. That was awarded to a competitor, and so now they would like to use this lot as an inventory lot for both Walser Hyundai and then whatever future dealership would be built on Lot 3. And the applicant is not proposing to replat this parcel or combine it with Lot 1, just to maintain that flexibility to be able to use the lot for both dealerships. I think that applicant at the Planning Commission meeting had indicated if they would combine the lot with the Hyundai dealership, that then they couldn't use that for the future dealership and want to maintain that flexibility. And so again, even though they had asked for that flexibility and this was kind of their initial plan, because it is a change in use, it still requires that PUD amendment. And so that's what you see here today. It's to amend, to approve the amendment and then amend the PUD agreement to allow Lot 2 to be used as an inventory lot. This was just a site plan, so the proposed inventory lot would add 185 stalls, would have landscaping and lighting to really kind of match the layout on the Walser Hyundai site. And then they have an additional underground filtration system that would be partly underground on this lot as well. And so with that, the staff recommendations to approve the proposed PUD amendment, and then the kind of second motion there to approve the amendment into the PUD agreement with H&W Family LLLP. And happy to answer any questions.
All right, anybody have any questions for Mr. Kroll?
Your Honor.
Councilmember Rehrower?
For planning case 23-6, I move to approve the proposed PUD amendment based on the following findings and with the following conditions. 1, all engineering comments be addressed. 2, the applicant enter into a site security agreement with the city. 3, the city shall receive a copy of a reciprocal easement agreements if the applicant determines such an agreement is needed. Do I do them together? Yeah. And in planning case 23-6, I move to approve the amendment to the PUD agreement with the H&W Family LLLP.
Second.
Very good. We have a motion by Rehrower and a second by Carlson. Is there further discussion on this? Hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? And that motion carries. Mr. Kroll, I think you're done. Thank you.
Yeah, there's one more and then I'll be back.
Oh, is that right? Oh, miscellaneous. Really? I thought that would have been a sneaky thing. All right. Item 18 is to consider Resolution 23-48, designating a new municipal state aid street segment.
Mr. Himmer.
Mr. Himmer?
That one.
Yes, Mr. Mayor, Council. As the council may be aware, the city is granted gas tax dollars every year, just like every municipal state aid system. We have about 7/10 of a mile that is not designated. There are criteria by which you can do that, but we are able to designate up to 20% of our total mileage in the city for MSA dollars, which means gas tax dollars to help maintain those roads. As part of the Foley overpass project, we constructed new roads back through the industrial area connecting to Coon Rapids Boulevard. Those were designed to MSA standards. I know usually parking is a concern when it comes to this. We didn't see that issue. We designed them to the state aid standards. MnDOT has agreed that this is eligible. It's an easy one for us to consider adding and getting a few more dollars in here to help maintain them. So I'm happy to answer any questions.
Yeah, this one makes just perfect sense to me. Yeah. Anybody have any questions for Mr. Himmer on this?
Mr. Mayor,
Councilmember Geisler?
I'll make a motion to adopt resolution number 23-48, designating Norway Street Northwest between Foley Boulevard to Coon Rapids Boulevard as a municipal state aid street.
Second.
Motion by Geisler and a second by Rehrower. Is there discussion on this? Most folks that haven't driven down there, they're going, what? Where? There's a road there now. Just cut it right through the woods there. Yeah. All right, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? And that motion carries. And we are on to item 19. Consider planning case 23-7, consider introduction of an ordinance amending chapter 11-701, general regulations and tables. Mr. Crowell.
All right, so my final item for tonight, and I'll try to keep it short again, but I just want to, with the amendment to the zoning code, it is a little bit different, or there are some criteria to evaluate, so just want to highlight those for you all. So the amendment tonight is focused on our regional shopping zoning districts, so that's the area that's in purple here on the screen. So it's the retail area bounded by US 10 to the north, Northdale Boulevard to the east, Main Street to the south, and then Round Lake Boulevard to the west. A little background, this is actually a non-staff kind of initiated zoning amendment. The applicant was interested in kind of working with some of the property owners and leasing agents at Riverdale Village to open a indoor axe throwing facility at the former Pier 1 Imports building in Riverdale Village, and kind of with the primary use of that space to offer entertainment through axe throwing. We would consider that an indoor recreation use in our zoning code, and that's not actually currently permitted in our regional shopping zoning district. Kind of given this, the shared ownership district standards for Riverdale Village, there didn't really seem to be a viable pathway to try to segment out properties and maybe rezone it general or community commercial where this is currently permitted. And so we had advised the applicant kind of to go through this amendment, ordinance amendment process to do that. Ryan Burke did speak at the Planning Commission meeting kind of on behalf of Riverdale Village just to share their support of this amendment, and I think they kind of talked about retail trends, as more sales and things are online, there's less need for brick and mortar space, and that a lot of shopping malls and shopping centers in the region and kind of across the U.S. are looking at entertainment and recreation space to kind of fill some of those vacancies and increase the foot traffic in their retail centers. And so the kind of some of the background of support there. These were some images provided by the applicant just to kind of give you an idea of what their facility would look like. This would be under the Stumpy's franchise. I guess they have similar axe throwing facilities kind of across the U.S. Just to kind of give you a sense. And so the notable change that we're discussing tonight is to make indoor recreation from a not permitted to a permitted use in our regional shopping zoning district. Typically, kind of some examples of what indoor recreation could be are, again, the indoor axe throwing facilities, bowling alleys, escape rooms, indoor go-karting, laser tag, mini golf, pickleball courts, shooting ranges, trampoline parks, whirly ball. So there's just some examples of current indoor recreation in Coon Rapids, and then I had shared some examples with the commission on some examples across the metro. So happy to talk about those more afterwards, but just to kind of give you a sense of the uses that we're talking about. And so any amendment to the zoning code, you're asked to kind of look at three things. The first is the effect of the amendment on public health, safety, and general welfare. So staff believe that this amendment wouldn't create any concern with the change. It's currently, indoor recreation is currently permitted in our community and general commercial zoning districts, and I think has had a long understanding the compatibility between these entertainment recreation services and retail uses. And then our zoning code actually defines the regional shopping zoning district as an area that's intended to promote large-scale commercial development, including retail, entertainment, restaurant, and other complementary uses to which this indoor recreation aligns. Looking at the second item is to look at the effect on present and potential surrounding land uses. So as I mentioned, it's currently permitted in general and community commercial zoning districts, which you can see here on the map. All the areas that are red and blue are those commercial districts. So basically, all of the retail area around Riverdale Village currently permits these types of uses. And so it's really just bringing Riverdale Village itself kind of in alignment with the surrounding retail area. And then finally, looking at the amendment and does it conform with our comprehensive land use plan. And so I think in our 2040 plan, we make a broad goal to provide distinctive commercial districts that serve both community and regional consumers, and that this change would allow Riverdale Village to attract additional uses that have regional appeal and then continue to be a regional destination. So the Planning Commission did recommend approval of the ordinance amendment at their March 16th meeting. And so tonight, the staff recommendations to introduce the ordinance, and then upon introduction, it would come back to you all on April 18th for adoption. So happy to answer any questions again.
All right, thanks, Mr. Kroll.
Yeah.
Questions?
Your Honor.
From Ray Rower?
Thank you for the summary. Your reasons and explanations very much make sense to me, and I appreciate the property owners at Riverdale Village very much. They've done a fabulous job with the area, and if they feel that it's going to better align with the retail center, I would agree with that. I think it'll draw more folks in to also take advantage of that retail area. And I really like the fact that you're thinking, a little bit creatively with this, because in Coon Rapids, we're fully developed, and we just have, these very few spots that come up where a business wants to come in, and I think this makes perfect sense, so thank you.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Carlson?
I guess also wanted to comment on this business too. If it was just axe throwing, you'd think how would they have the business for that? But there's a lot going on there. They've got backyard games, kids suction cup pit, event room, food, drink, merchandise. It looks like it's going to be a great business. It'd be great to see them there.
Yeah, and I'll just add in the applicant's narrative too, they are local. I think they both currently live in Anoka, but have been heavily involved in different community events and things in the area too. So it's good to see local business bringing that kind of use to Coon Rapids.
Very good. So this is just an introduction tonight. We want to make sure if anybody has any more questions of Mr. Kroll. Does anybody have any more questions? All right, so then in case, planning case 23-7, amending chapter 11-701 to allow indoor recreation in the regional shopping zoning district, we will consider that introduced. We will take action at that on the next meeting.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Excellent, thank you. Item 20. Another introduction only. Consider introduction of an ordinance amending chapter 8-900 miscellaneous traffic regulations. Mr. Brody.
Your Honor, fellow council, and city planner, I have prepared a little presentation for my introduction.
Well, unless you're bringing axe throwing, I'm not sure how you're going to compete.
What you have before you tonight for introduction is we're updating our traffic code, essentially taking out unreasonable noise or acceleration, or changing it and adding a few other activities that we'd want to prohibit here in the city. It's been based on an ordinance that we came up with, studying some other ordinances, having a lot of, the impetus and then a lot of input from Chief Stanky and his department. We went to the traffic expert himself, Officer Bieberg, for his input on that as well. So we've captured some of it. This isn't gonna fix all of what ails us in terms of street racing or the cruise, but it does provide a one spot within our code for a few different options that we hope will be effective, or be it, as we talked about, I think with catalytic converters, just another tool in the toolbox. And that's the intent of this. And we're continuing to study this. We're continuing, if there's another way or another, a section we can add or amend as we go through this, we're gonna be more than happy to do that. I know from a prosecution standpoint, somebody from my office sits on a street racing committee that, that's part of down in Hennepin here in Anoka County to kind of be aware on the front end of what these, these are. So we are being not being pretty proactive, we are being proactive. Obviously, the police department is being very proactive in these things. So this is just here for introduction. I certainly can stand for any questions on it. But again, we hope it's another tool for our officers to use this summer. And frankly, we hope they don't have to use it very often, but it is available for them. I can tell you there's also a lot of state laws that are applicable as well, so they're going to have a full gamut of a playbook that they'll be able to use this summer.
The one that surprised me was allows the ordinance to be applied to passengers, non-driving participants, and organizers, if they aid and abet the illegal behavior in some way. But then there's a clarification, but mere presence at the event is not a violation.
Yeah, that's really, I think, a key at some of these street racing events or any of our events that, it's not just the driver, it's the passenger hanging out the window, it might be the person videotaping it, sort of that part, they're sort of, in our mind, aiding and abetting that. But we also don't want, somebody just happens to be walking by, we want to, and that also becomes difficult to prove anyways, whether they're just walking by. But somebody who's actively participating or helping out the main actors, we want to have the ability to do that. So we think that's a key component to the ordinance. And it's kind of a tricky one that other cities had. We're trying to figure out how to address that. And so we hope we figured out a way to do that.
I'm picturing the old American graffiti with the gal with the flag starting the race. All right, so this again is an introduction, but if we have any questions, let's make sure we get them asked.
Mr. Mayor, I'd just
Perfect,
make a
guys.
comment, and I know that we've been talking about things like this for a couple of years, so I do appreciate moving forward and trying to get as many tools in our toolbox as we can.
Mr. Honor.
Councilmember Carlson and then Councilmember Novak.
Yeah, Mr. Brody, I just wanted to check now, these proposed ordinances, is there anything, I didn't want to say copy, but are they similar to some other communities, and have any of them been challenged, and how have those challenges gone?
I'm not aware, they are similar, but they're actually, I think a lot of folks saw the Blaine one. It's different than the Blaine one. I think we had some concerns about the Blaine one, so we tweaked ours a bit to make it less of a challenge. To be frank, some of it is based, pretty similar to state law, so we feel pretty confident about those. And like I said, I think we feel pretty confident about the whole ordinance. That was the intent. Will we get challenged? Perhaps, but we feel confident about that because I think we did take, if we were erring on one side or the other, especially when it came to spectators, it was more on the conservative side.
And Mr. Brody, I think it's all fantastic, and anything we can do to stop this foolishness, or at least have a way to try to crack down on this foolishness would be great.
Councilmember Novak?
Thank you, Your Honor. Mr. Brody, thank you very much for this. When I was door knocking and when I was talking with my neighbors, even this winter, I live maybe about a quarter of a mile from Coon Rapids Boulevard, and I can tell you that at night, on weekends, this is all you hear. It's almost as bad as the trains that go by. So to hear that you guys have the tools in order to take care of this kind of thing, it makes me and a lot of other people feel really good about that. I'm very glad that you're taking the time to have this get addressed.
We are going to do our best.
Yeah.
Chief Stanky can sort of get into the enforcement piece of it. Because I can guarantee you that we aren't going to make it go away. We're hoping that at least that it's not constant, or that there are some tools if we are able to. Enforcement's still going to be a big deal. An officer's still going to have to observe it. Officer's going to have to be there. There's a lot of things. This is just the start of it, the starting process. So we're hopeful, but like I said, I don't want to, I like to keep expectations low.
No. You manage expectations.
Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
So we ran into this down at the AMC Theater last year, seeing what social media does.
Yeah.
All of a sudden, one tweet goes out, or whatever they even do to communicate, and all of a sudden, you've got all these cars out there doing burnouts in the middle of the parking lot, and so they just explode in.
Yep.
So it's
and
nice.
that's the part of the intelligence piece that's going on behind the scenes, is that obviously, and Chief Stank, if he wants to, can speak more to that, but there are, it's not just all happening in a vacuum.
Right.
Your Honor.
Councilmember Rehauer?
Yeah, I was actually just going to talk about that. And with the rise of social media, I appreciate that the participants are involved, because a lot of times it's a plan to get a really cool video to put out on TikTok or wherever it is. And there have been people, just for anyone watching, who are the ones taking the video of the person doing the spin outs, who have gotten run over by the person doing the spin out. So don't do that.
That's kind of justice taking care of itself
It's
then.
not safe. None of this is safe in any way, shape, or form.
Chief Stanky, anything you want to add to Mr. Brody's presentation here?
Well, Mr. Mayor, I think Mr. Brody did an excellent job of summarizing the proposed ordinance, but I guess I'll just add that it's kind of nice to have all of our enforcement efforts under one tool and one spot. It makes it easier for our officers to enforce. But our biggest concern is not so much about the cruise itself, but about the street racing activity that Mr. Brody already discussed, and the congregating, the parking lots, and all the problems that go hand in hand with street racing that is unfortunately reared its ugly head in some of our neighboring communities. So we're just trying to take a proactive approach to not just the issues involved with the cruise, but also that street racing activity that eventually is going to find its way to our community.
Nothing has ever changed. When you read the history of cruising, the cruising has never been the problem. It's all of the peripheral things that it brings in. And so, yeah. Any other questions on this? Nope. All right then. Let's see, in the case of ordinance, the ordinance amending chapter 8-900 miscellaneous traffic regulations as it relates to prohibited driving conduct, we will consider that introduced and we will take action at the next council meeting.
We probably need a sexier title would help it too.
Okay, well. What- All right, so we are up to open mic, public comment, unless I missed something. Anybody here for open mic? All right. Yep, you're, thanks for hanging in there with us. All right.
I do have just a couple of handouts to provide, if you just kind of pass them around, give you an
Okay.
idea what I'm gonna
All right.
ask for.
So let me just give you this preface then. Open mic provides an opportunity for the public to address the city council on subjects that are not part of the regular meeting. The public is invited to express any concerns they may have which are relevant to the affairs, policies, or practices of the city of Coon Rapids. The remarks will be limited to 3 minutes. Please approach the podium and state your name and address, and I bet you'll be just fine.
My name is Pat Morris. I live at 12846 Crooked Lake Boulevard here in Coon Rapids. I've been a resident homeowner there for a little over 30 years. I have kind of a unique situation with an easement for my access to my property. My home is located back on Crooked Lake, off of Crooked Lake Boulevard. So there's a house in front of me that sits on the road. And back in, I believe, 2015, the Boardwells used to be my neighbors. We shared that driveway for a number of years. And then at one point, the Boardwells put their driveway out on 129th Avenue. They still use the easement, but not as often. The city, I think in about 1989, required that that road, or that driveway be improved. It was a dirt driveway, so I had it paved. When Dr. Boardwell got ill, they decided to sell his home, and they did the lot split that you're looking at now, that survey. So my house is on the southwest corner. Doesn't show on there, but in parcel A was the Boardwell's home, and mine was directly south of theirs. It does show a little bit of my driveway where it turns up to where my garage would be. And I marked on the copy that you have just some yellow lines, highlighted lines, to kind of show what the 4 new lots are. They're not exact, but, so right now there's 5 homes on the north side. On the south side is my home and one other neighbor. The problem I have is there's no setback requirement when it comes to putting up a fence along that easement. So one property owner did put up a fence. He didn't like some light shining in, so he went for a variance to have the height adjusted from a 6 to an 8-foot fence. No problem. The only thing that happened is then he moved it onto the easement. So now I have maybe a foot along his fence line for removing snow, doing maintenance. And if every property owner along there decides to put a fence up, I'm not going to have access to my property. I won't be able to plow it, won't be able to maintain it. And I see that I found a couple of publications that the city has, and I included them in there. One talks about residential fences and walls. And what I'd like to see is if they could add verbiage when people like me have a weird driveway like that, that there's some kind of a setback along the sides of that driveway so that people aren't putting a fence right up against it, where I won't have the ability to get through. The fire department won't have the ability to get through with their trucks if there's a fire. Same thing for any kind of public safety. And that's basically what I'm looking for. I think it'd be simple to do. You talk about fences and walls on one document, and that there is some kind of easements on those, and that they can't build right up to it. It's similar to the sidewalks where your little plow truck comes through and clears the sidewalks. If there was fences right there, there'd be nowhere to put that snow. And so I'm looking for if there's a way to add that so that potential people that have a similar situation to me don't have to put up with the headaches and harassment that I've had. And right now, just where I live, there's 3 total easements just like mine, including mine. And I don't know how many else throughout the city. But yeah, I'll be happy to stick around, see questions afterwards. But I don't have anything else. Thank you. I hope you will look at that and make those adjustments. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you for hanging in there tonight. Anybody else here for open mic tonight then? All right, we'll close the portion on open mic, and I don't have any reports for previous open mics, so we are to other business. Mr. Stemwell.
Mayor, Council, if I could, I'd like to recognize and congratulate Matt Brown on becoming the city's newest Community Development Director. Matt was officially appointed in this role a little less than a couple of weeks ago, although has served in the interim capacity for a couple of months after Grant Fernelius left. So Matt's worked with the city in various roles over the last 18 years or so, and is going to do a great job for the community and for the city council for many years to come. So just wanted to point that out.
Excellent. Congratulations.
Congratulations, Matt.
Well deserved. All right. Well, we have one more concert coming up. Thursday, April 13th, the Winter Concert Series. We have the Backyard Band, 7 to 8:30. If it doesn't sell out, tickets are available at the door. Otherwise, you can get them at the receptionist's desk at City Hall. $8 for adults, $5 for children. April 15th, Saturday, big day. Anoka County Senior Expo, 9 to noon, out at Lord of Life. And then the Coon Rapids VFW Craft Show from 9 to 5 at the Coon Rapids VFW. Both of those are Saturday, April 15th. And then we've got one more council meeting coming up before this. However, the tickets are available. Gliding Amongst the Stars Ice Show coming up at the Coon Rapids Ice Center, April 28th and 29th. Preview show is April 27th, and the tickets are available at the Coon Rapids Ice Center starting April 1st, so they're already available. Other business to come before council.
Mr. Mayor?
Councilmember Carlson.
Just want to mention something that we just found out about not too long ago. April 26th at the Coon Rapids Dam, the Coon Rapids, or the Anoka County Parks Department is going to sponsor the Mighty Mississippi Cleanup, cleaning out the county park. Many different counties have joined this initiative to try to clean up the banks of the Mississippi River, and be a great event. It'll be at the Coon Rapids Dam from 8:30 until 12:30.
On a Wednesday morning. Who are they planning for?
Well, Mr. Mayor, I'll be there. So we get a couple more, that'd be nice.
Don't get swept into the floodwaters.
But they do want people to RSVP, and the telephone number to RSVP at would be 763-324-3413. Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Thank you. And if for any reason that doesn't work, the Saturday before, they're doing the Ramsey, the Mississippi Park in Ramsey. They're doing that cleanup.
That's a nice town west of us, yeah.
Same river, though.
Yeah, that's true.
All right. Any other business to come before council?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion by Carlson, a second by Armstrong to adjourn. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
We're adjourned.